Hello, from Columbus, Ohio. I'm Scott Foltz alongside Jason Dye. Those stories plus the New Year's games more than lived up to their hype.
The championship game is set, and we'll break it all down right here. You're watching Sports Talk on CFC, so stick around.
The Outback Bowl was a close back and forth as Penn State and Arkansas came at each other with all they had. The Hogs scored first, scoring the only points of the first quarter, in fact. The second quarter belonged to the Nittany Lions as Penn State threw for one and kicked a field goal to take a 10-7 lead into halftime. Third quarter, the Hogs retook momentum and put up 17 while shutting Penn State out for the quarter and the rest of the game. 24-10 Arkansas goes home a winner and Penn State continues to struggle.
Yeah, and Penn State was depleted here. We knew this going into it, and it showed. I mean, Arkansas barely had anybody out for this game and was able to put up points and just hold Penn State at bay. And a disappointing ending to the season for Penn State.
Absolutely. Out in Phoenix, the Fiesta Bowl was a roller coaster as Notre Dame took an early lead with 2 touchdowns in the first, but Oklahoma State wouldn't quit, answering with a TD of their own. Second quarter, same story. 14 points by the Irish and 7 from the Cowboys to send Notre Dame into the half with a 28-14 lead. But OK State came out shooting in the third, scoring 17 to take the lead while shutting the Irish out for the quarter. The Cowboys kicked for 3 early in the fourth to extend their lead, then did it again later on to make it a 9-point game. Notre Dame scored a later touchdown with just over a minute to play to pull within 2 and tried an onside kick, but the Cowboys recovered, and that was all she wrote on a great game. 37-35 Oklahoma State.
It was an absolutely fantastic game. Marcus Freeman, his debut at head coach. I think I was a little premature in my assumption that, hey, don't get on the Freeman bandwagon yet, but with the current hiring of James Laurinaitis as his defensive coordinator, and the heart and the stuff that they played with in this game, I think they have great things coming at Notre Dame. Oklahoma State continues to find his way to win, and good for them. I mean, I thought really early that OK State was down and out, but like I said, they came out shooting, and they finished it right through too.
Absolutely. Mike Gundy seems to find a way to just keep rocking and rolling. And again, like you said, with the hiring of a defensive coordinator, James Laurinaitis, correct?
Yeah.
If there's a guy who knows defense, it's James Laurinaitis.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I foresee great things for Notre Dame in the forthcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
Over in Pasadena, and the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl, let me tell you, if you thought the Fiesta Bowl was close, the Rose Bowl showed what close really is. The Ohio State Buckeyes took on the Pac-12 champion Utah Utes, and the Utes came out swinging, putting up 14 unanswered points in the first quarter. Second quarter was only slightly better for the Bucs as they managed to find the end zone 3 times, but so did Utah to send the Utes into the locker room with a 35-21 lead. But a totally different Buckeye team came out of that locker room. The defense tightened up and held Utah to a single field goal in the third, while Ohio State kicked one of their own plus a touchdown. The fourth quarter saw the Buckeyes tie it up at 38, and we got us a game here. With just under 4.5 to play, the Buckeyes took their first lead of the game off a 30-yard touchdown pass, but Utah still had plenty of time to score. And they did just that, tying it again at 45 with 1:54 to play. Ohio State got within field goal range with 12 seconds left, and the kicker earned his pay, so to speak, with a 19-yarder to give the Buckeyes the lead and the game. 48-45 in a Rose Bowl that will surely go down as one for the ages.
Absolutely. At the end of that first half, I just was thinking, man, this is Michigan 2.0 all over again. Defense was just getting gashed. It just didn't seem to matter what they did. And then, Stroud started to warm up, and it was something to see him, this kid, continuously just dropping the ball on a dime, and it didn't matter where he threw the ball. It was basically him and the Jackson Smith and Jigba show out there. And you know what? That's a good thing. Ohio State needed these guys to step up and play, and they did. With Olave and Wilson being out, Travion Henderson wasn't a big factor on the offense, but they didn't need it because as long as they kept Stroud protected, he was going to find ways to deliver that ball. He did, and then second half, that defense rose up. Cade Stover was tremendous in the second half, and then with Ruggles hitting the game winner at the end, I mean, I'm sure, I was holding my breath with everything because you could not count Utah out, and they proved why they're the Pac-12 champion.
Absolutely. They Utah put up a heck of a fight, honoring their 2 fallen team members.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm with you. They showed why they're the champion. It wasn't just beating Oregon badly twice.
Yeah.
They, like I said last week, they came with something to prove. They want their respect, and they were going to go through Ohio State to get it, and they very nearly did. But I'll tell you this, they have my respect.
Yeah, absolutely.
They earned it. I mean, even in losing, dang it, they fought well.
Yeah, and if their team is coming back, which I don't think they got anybody transferring out. I don't know yet, but if they got that team coming back next year, then
they're going to be dangerous in the Pac-12.
Right, and they're probably the very early favorite team in the Pac-12.
It's not going to be the Oregon show anymore.
Right.
Down in the Big Easy, the Sugar Bowl was a defensive clinic. Baylor and Ole Miss went head-to-head and showed off their defensive talent, the first points of the game not coming until a Baylor touchdown in the second quarter. Not only the first, but the only points of the half, as the Bears went into halftime with a 7-0 lead. The Rebels responded in the third with a TD of their own, this time holding Baylor out for the quarter. 7-7 game going into the fourth, and the Bears roared back, scoring twice while holding Ole Miss out. Final score 21-7 in a game that defensive coordinators across the country should be studying.
Yeah, and these were 2 surprisingly good teams this year.
Yeah,
and just Baylor really came on in the Big 12. Ole Miss with Matt Corral wasn't it in this game? Matt Corral went out with a leg injury, I believe. I think it was Matt Corral. I think that's who I'm thinking of. But because he wanted to play, and he had a potential, I believe, to go on the NFL. But yeah, I think a lot of people when you talk about defense, you're going to be looking at this one and trying to got your notepad out, taking a few notes, because this was a good defensive struggle if you like that kind of game. But yeah, hats off to Baylor. I think a tremendous season for them. They probably weren't really supposed to be here, but here they are. So
I think they're going to be a force in the Big 12 for the next couple of years.
Yeah, and if you look at it, you got Oklahoma and Texas leaving for the SEC.
Yep.
But you do have new blood coming into the Big 12 after they leave. Cincinnati, UCF, and a couple others. So
it's confirmed Cincinnati is going Big 12.
Yeah. So there's going to be some new blood in there, but they're going to have to go through Baylor and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, and Oklahoma State's always going to be there.
Yeah.
They're a team to be reckoned with, but Baylor has come on and they're no joke. And somebody said they'd be the first team to beat Oklahoma.
Yeah. I know. We touch on that a lot, and I love it.
We do.
I love it.
And Ole Miss, again, they had a tremendous season. Not much was expected out of them because the SEC, and we'll discuss it later, has usually come down to the Alabama and Georgia show. There were a couple extra players this year, one of them being Ole Miss.
Yep, absolutely.
The first game of the CFP semifinals was not the close one that many had hoped for, but it did start out that way. Alabama scored first, but Cincinnati was able to kick for 3 in the first quarter. Second quarter, the Tide were held to a field goal on their first scoring attempt, but not the second. Bama putting up 10 for the quarter and carrying a 14-point lead into halftime. After the half, the Bearcats opened with another field goal for the only points of the quarter from either team. 17-6 heading into the fourth. Cincinnati still had a chance, but not after Alabama added 10 more points and managed to hold the Bearcats scoreless in a 27-6 Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was hoping for something better. Obviously, I was hoping for an upset. A lot of people were.
Yeah.
We knew Alabama was strong in this game, and I think at certain points, if Bama really could have corrected a few things in this game, I think it could have been blown wide open, easy. But I think Cincinnati had the right game plan, and going into that, I'm very proud Luke Fickell. I mean, he's going to do great things in staying in Cincinnati. They have only to go up from here. So I think they had a tremendous season. So
yeah, and I'll touch on this a little bit more next week about the Group of 5, Power 5 thing. But everybody on social media, on the internet, running their mouths. Cincinnati never should have been there. They had no business in the playoffs. Who they beat, what they do. Well, I'll tell you something here. Only LSU and Auburn have held Bama to less points all year. LSU held them to 20, and Auburn held them to 24 points, and it took 4 overtimes for Alabama to go over. The Bearcats, the team that had no business being there, was going to get run over, and maybe they did, but they still held Alabama to 27 points.
Yeah.
Which only 2 other teams all season have been able to say that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't count the Bearcats out just yet. I'm with you on that one. Would I have liked it to gone another way? Yeah, but this is the way it goes, and they weren't embarrassed.
Yeah, I don't think they were embarrassed.
No, they simply got beat by a better team.
Yep.
The other semifinal game saw the Georgia Bulldogs take on the Big Ten champion Michigan Wolverines in the Orange Bowl. The Dogs put up 14 unanswered in the first and another 13 in the second, though Michigan was able to kick 3 to avoid the shutout going into halftime. Third quarter was almost a totally different game as neither team could score at all. The fourth quarter saw another Georgia touchdown as well as a Michigan touchdown followed by a 2-point conversion, but getting 2 at that point meant nothing. When you're down by 31, getting 8 won't help you. 34-11 Georgia to set up a CFP rematch as the Bulldogs try to avenge their one loss of the year against Alabama on January 10th in the national championship game.
Yeah, I think Michigan kind of bit themselves in the butt, so to speak, in this one. Too much swag, a lot of, you just crushed your rival in Ohio State, you beat the crap out of Iowa, you've got all this, hey, we're untouchable. And then comes along Georgia, who isn't known to be offensively good, they're good, obviously, but you're thinking, oh yeah, we got a chance, and you didn't see Hutchinson getting through, you didn't see Ojabo getting through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were just able to gash this Michigan defense, and Georgia, I believe, this was their statement game going back into the in a rematch with Alabama. They say, hey, we're ready, but we knew we had to go through them first.
Yeah.
And they took on that mentality the same as Ohio State does with Michigan. Hey, you're going down, that's it, we're going to beat you. They did. Now Georgia's got that power back. I think they've reemerged here in this one. And for Michigan, it's interesting now because with some recent news that come out, Aiden Hutchinson's going to the NFL, Ojabo's going to the NFL, and all of a sudden Harbaugh's name's right back in the NFL conversation. So
I wondered if you'd heard that.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, like, what you got your win over your rival in Ohio State, so you're 1 out of your last 5, or
one
your last
and 5, or 1 and 6.
Okay, and you got your Big Ten title. Now it's time to run.
And now you're going to up and leave.
Now you're just going to up and leave. So that just goes to show. I mean, was
he really ever in it?
Yeah, was he really ever in it? Now, secretly, I guess you could say, I didn't want an all-SEC final, but this is what we're stuck with.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have seen a Cincinnati-Michigan final, just because I would want Cincinnati, the Ohio team, to beat Michigan, because that's just biased like that, and I'm okay with that.
And it's our show.
That's right. So in this game, we learned a lot about Georgia. They came in, they're geared up, they're ready to go. I think they're going to bring the same energy into the national title game.
Speaking of the national title game, both teams are one-loss SEC teams, but one of those teams' one loss is to the other one. Alabama beat Georgia by 17 in the SEC title game. Can the Bulldogs make the necessary adjustments against the Tide, or will Nick Saban add yet another ring to his growing collection?
Well, after Alabama beat Georgia in that first game, it was very clear to me. We picked Georgia to win that game.
Yeah.
We thought Georgia was the team to beat in that game. I can't say I know I just said, hey, look, they've got all this, the reemergence, blah, 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 but it's Alabama. It's Nick Saban.
Yep.
Bryce Young threw
The man finds ways to win.
Right, and Bryce Young threw for 421 yards. And unless Georgia finds a way to shut down that part of the game, this could be the same result. And I think Georgia's going to give Bama a better fight. But you've got to find a way to stop Bryce Young. And I think for Georgia defensively, they've got to find a way to get into the Alabama backfield. That offensive line still isn't all that great. And I think it's going to be a hard-fought game, maybe a lot closer. I mean, I like 28-24. I'm just going to have to stick with Bama. I really hope I'm wrong. I want Georgia to win this game, but Nick
Saban's still Nick Saban.
He is the master motivator, and I mean that is it. He finds this. Mm-hmm. He's got his team prepared. I swear, it's like he's able to. He's got all these notes just pinned in their heads. They're memorized to a T.
But like you said, if they can get to Bryce Young and shut Bryce Young down, they have a very good chance.
Yeah, Stetson Bennett, he can move this ball. I mean, we saw him do it against Michigan, and I know we're talking two different defenses here.
Yeah.
I mean, they were similar, but I mean, if Stetson Bennett can repeat that performance and do that against Georgia, then I say Georgia definitely stands a better chance. But I just can't. I mean, if I was placing a bet here, I mean, I don't know if I could pull. I mean, I don't know if I could pull the trigger on Georgia. I mean, it's just the safe bet is take Bama. But you know, if
how many times have you said it? Any given Saturday.
Yeah.
And this is going to be on a Monday, but the same thing holds.
Yeah, and
everybody thought the Buckeyes were out of the Rose Bowl until they came back.
Yeah, that's true. And
everybody thought Oklahoma State was out of the Fiesta Bowl because the Irish had a 28-point lead until they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good game. Now, you know, if Georgia turns the ball over and gives Alabama chances,
turnovers will kill them
on short fields, and this could be over quickly, but and vice versa. But we're looking at two teams that I think Georgia's gained a lot of confidence. I think Alabama is ready to go too. I think maybe closer game, and some good battles. I think Kirby Smart's really he's going to prepare this Georgia team different. But how different, and how much does it take to get over the top on Saban?
Mm-hmm. We'll find out.
Yeah.
That's all for us. Join us next week as we recap the championship game and the 21-21 season as a whole. You've been watching Sports Talk on CFC. We'll see you next time.